Thinking about leaving your soul-sucking 9 to 5 job, one of the biggest struggles I see people, especially as women, face is the idea of having that safety net, that enticing perks and benefits, and listening to that head trash of what will people think if I leave. I totally get it, and I've been where you are. That's why I created a free guide to help you if you're thinking about putting in that notice. It's called Unlocking Your Exit Plan. Discover 5 things you need to do before leaving your 9 to 5. This guide is filled with worksheets and steps so you will have hand holding along the way. You can download your copy in the link in the show notes, and again, it's totally free. Now back to today's episode.
You're listening to the Hello CS Dorsey podcast, your one-stop shop for all things motivating while on your entrepreneur journey. Feeling stuck in your business or don't know where to start? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Listen to some of the leading women in today's industry who have been there before to help guide you on your path. Now, here's your host and self-taught web designer, CS Dorsey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Hello CS Dorsey podcast. I have Jacky here on today's podcast. Jacky, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to our chat.
Awesome. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Jacky Rom and I am an author. I live in England and I write crime fiction. So I often like to say my hobby is murder.
That's a good one.
It scares some people off and others are intrigued.
That's awesome. Not really good, but it's all.
Yeah, it just makes people laugh. And you know what? We need a bit of laughter in our lives at the moment.
I completely agree. So tell everyone something about yourself that most people don't know.
Oh my goodness. I've wanted to be a director since I was 9 years old.
Really? So what kind of director? Movie director or?
I wanted to be a movie or television director. And I don't know where this came from. I have no idea how from so young I was so determined. It's what I wanted to do. But I have a feeling it's because I was a bit bossy. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, that is so funny. But you know what? Hey, it's never too late. You can still do it,
Oh, no, I do. I'm a producer, director. Yeah. You just determined you can get there. So I've been directing for many years now. But I was so young, 9 years old. 9 was very young to know what you wanted.
That's true. But it's so funny because a lot of times when we're young, we say we want to be like a doctor, lawyer, or different things like that. But we really kind of like never fall through. Like I wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't want to argue. I hated arguing and like made me so nervous. So I was like, okay, well, I'll be a singer instead. Well, yeah, that didn't work out very well. So I said, you know what? Let's just say we're just going to stick with being an entrepreneur and let that be that. And it's working out well for me. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, I know. I think it was really lucky to be so young and be so determined. But I often find now, many years now, I'm a drama teacher as well. So I find that young people that love the arts, performing arts, they know very young what they want. So I think there's a bit of kind of passion in this business.
Yes, I completely agree. So you wear many hats. How do you juggle it all?
You are so right. Let me just go through, because I think it's probably even more than you know. So I'm an author. I also have my own podcast. I'm a drama teacher. I run a radio station. And I also run a charity in the Caribbean on the little island called Saint Martin. So I run a charity. What else do I do? I also have rental properties. That's about it, really. And I'm a mum. I think it's just in me. It's just what I do. I'm very good at delegating. So I often kind of set things up and then other people then run it and I'll go on to the next project. So being good at delegating helps.
So what do you do to stay organized?
Oh, I'm an avid note taker. So today I had a really busy day. I have a note in front of me that tells me every meeting, and I had one every hour today, either radio or podcast interviews, but it's all written down. I have to have notes. And I do the same when I'm researching for a book. Every character has a backstory. I do it all by hand. So I'll handwrite each character's backstory, their journey through the book. I'll handwrite the outline of the book. And then when I'm ready, then I'll sit down on the computer and type up. So it's just avid note taking, really.
I completely agree. I did the same thing for my books that I wrote, because I've written 5 books a couple of years back, and I did the same thing. And what I did was I did the outline by hand because it helps me so much. But I did it as like every move that they were making out throughout the whole chapter of the book, and I found myself actually writing more chapters on that one chapter that I was actually supposed to write on. I couldn't stop writing about that one outline or that one sentence, and it turns out that was actually one chapter. So I'm an advocate for handwriting and note taking. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often get asked, what advice would I give to people that would like to write a book? And I say, get yourself a box, write notes whenever you think of anything, put those notes in that box. By the time you've spent however long putting notes in, you've then got your book. So always keep your notes, just ideas, notes, drawings, everything, keep them.
That's a good tip to have. That's definitely a good tip to utilize. I didn't think about that. So when do the ideas come to you? Do they come to you at night, in the morning, and then how often?
I must be the world's worst sleeper. I've learned tricks now. To stop my mind, I listen to the news. Well, actually, I've stopped doing that in the last month or so. But normally, I would listen to the news, and it's so boring, it makes me go to sleep again. But not at the moment. I'm not listening to the news. I try and take my mind off of it, because I actually have to stop my mind going, not make it go. So I would dedicate a time. So if I've got 6 weeks to write the text of the book, I will do 3,000 words a day. I don't move till I've done it. So you have to dedicate yourself. That went off. Really didn't answer your question, did it?
No, it's fine.
I went off the rails a bit.
It's completely fine. I do the same thing. I go down this rabbit hole oftentimes, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that didn't make sense. Was I supposed to say that?
Yeah.
It's completely fine. So what advice could you give people out there who are, trying to start their business, or maybe trying to start a book? What advice can you give them out there to help them to be able to take action, to be able to take that first step?
Okay, so I think there are 2 different questions. If you're trying to write a book, then, as I said, get all your notes, get a box, a real box, just write notes and put them in till you're ready to write the book. That's important. Now, if you're starting out in business, you must take it. First of all, you have to be knowledgeable in whatever it is. So I'm going to tell you an example of something I did that helps, but should help. So my daughter and I run a community centre. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that one. A community centre. And after about 8 years of having it, people were still coming in and said, oh, I didn't know you were here. And so one day I woke up and thought, I'm going to open a radio station. Then we can advertise and we'll let people know we're there. Now, at that point, I knew nothing about radio station. So I called a friend of mine, because being an author, I do a lot of radio interviews. So I called a friend of mine that I know, who's a regular drive time presenter, and said to him, I want to do this, will you help? And he was brilliant. And I put a call out in the local community, and we got 20 potential presenters at that first meeting. And David, my friend, the radio presenter, helped me set it all up. And so I knew nothing. but there's nothing you can't learn, especially with the internet. And so I say, get the right people round you, get your knowledge, know your job, know your field, and get the right people round you. And then you just got to go for it. And a lot of the time you learn as you go, but you have to take chances. You have to say yes, yes, yes. And you have to see where life takes you a lot.
I love it. I, I do, because I'm all for just doing. And sometimes I get that mindset where I'm like, oh well, I don't know, it's gonna take but it nowadays, I mean, people are becoming entrepreneurs and making six figures, $1 million in their business, and don't have a degree, only have like maybe a high school diploma. But it's all about having that drive. And the internet, like you stated, is so full of knowledge and know-how, and you can go on YouTube and learn how to create something within the day. You could create your own course, like your own like study guide or something like that, watching YouTube videos or looking at blog posts and put those things together, and you have a course that you
yes, there's
created.
nothing you can't find out. Somebody's asked before, but I think the most important thing is there's no such word as can't, and there's no such word as fail. I think those are the two things that are in every entrepreneur's psyche, because I don't believe there's any such word as fail, because I'll have a go at something. If it doesn't work, I'll learn from it and move forward. I don't fail, because you can't fail, because I've learned something along the way, and that may be how to do it properly or how to do it a different way. So I do think it's a mindset.
I agree. I definitely agree with you on that.
And I think there are natural entrepreneurs, and I think that you have to just do it, whatever it is. An entrepreneur will see a way through, not a closed path.
Oh, I love it. I guess we can drop the mic on that, right? We can drop the mic. That's it. Podcast is over with.
That's so funny. I've never said it before. I just sometimes say these things. I think, oh, that sounds good.
I love it so much. Oh my goodness. I have like goosebumps now.
This is how I see it. When you get to a farmer's field and there's a gate, I will find a way of opening that gate. And other people who are not natural entrepreneurs will say, well, I can't get through, so they turn round. But I will be determined to find out how to open the gate. And that's a simple analogy.
It's all about having that drive and knowing your goal. Yes.
Let me explain because I have a documentary on Amazon Prime at the moment called Method of Murder. And it all started because my second book in a series, I'm on book 15 now, and I'm on book 3 of a series, a crime series called the Sandra Bernstein Chronicles. And the second book I wanted to base in Las Vegas, which is one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. And I knew that when you go to Vegas, what you see is only half of it, and that there's another world behind the wall. And I wanted to know what that world looked like. And so I wrote to every hotel in Vegas and said, could I have access? And they all said, no. Well, I'm not very good with no. So I went on to a Facebook page one day, and I put on this Facebook page, does anyone know any casino owners? And somebody within seconds came back to me and said, I know Derek Stevens, who owns the D in downtown Vegas. And so I messaged him and said, can you introduce me? And he said, well, I don't actually know him, but he's always on Twitter. So I thought, all right. So I went on Twitter, I direct messaged him, and within 2 hours, he gave me full access of the casino. So I phoned my dad. I was all emotional. Dad, I've just got all access to the casino. And my dad went, sounds like a documentary to me. And that's how it happened. I then interviewed and spoke to hundreds over the next 3 days of production companies. until I came up with someone that just believed in what I did. Within a week, we got the funding, and 5 weeks later, we went to Vegas and made it. A year after that, we sold it first to America and Canada, and then the UK. And now it's being seen by millions of people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing because you kept going. You kept going and you didn't stop there. Not only did you continue on, but you look for other resources and avenues that you can possibly use to basically get your answer or get to where you're trying to go. And a lot of times we use that one resource, that one avenue, and then we're like, oh, this isn't working. But there's other things that you can do. There's other ways you can basically get the information that you need or the direction that you're trying to go. And the fact that you didn't stop, you was like going on Twitter. I don't even use Twitter anymore.
No, I don't. And the funny thing is, I've just told that story, which took like 2-3 minutes, but it actually was a 3-year story, because I've given you the short version, but we never stopped. I mean, after we made it, it took about 8 months to do the post-production. It then took another 8 months to sell it. It then took another, it's been a long process. But I've got a documentary on Amazon Prime. I've just been offered another 4-part series, but unfortunately the virus has put a stop to it at the moment. But I'm going to go to China and make a 4-part, like a travel docu-series. And my goal is to make a series called Jacky Investigates, so that you watch me. I've got the titles, we've got everything ready. We're kind of just looking for the chance to make it, really. So, what is interesting is you take one step and it leads to the next step. Now I have my own podcast, which is The Life of a Crime Novelist. I have a documentary. I'm an author. So all of these things have kind of grown the Jacky me, it's a product, which is me, which has been really interesting to do.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And congratulations to you with all the wonderful things that are happening in your path. And I think that is so awesome. I mean, I interview a lot of amazing women, but I think your story is by far the amazingest, if that's even a word.
Oh, yeah, let's use it. That's a
the
great
amazingest.
It's so funny. I've had some really lovely things happen in the last year. I'm very lucky. I have a house in St. Martin in the Caribbean, and that's where I go to write. And I was at the airport last September coming home, and I was sitting down waiting for the airplane, and this woman kept looking at me, and I kind of ignored it. And eventually she came over and she goes, "Are you Jacky Rum?" And I go, "Yeah," like suspicious, who's this? And then she went, "I love your books. I love Sandy." And then she started telling me about my characters. So that happens to me quite a bit now. I can't tell you how that feels as an author. Well, when somebody appreciates what you write, it's so heartwarming, and it's a feeling that it's really difficult to describe.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yes, it's so funny because years ago when I wrote my book, I didn't know anything about it. I'm gonna tell you, I hated reading. I loved writing, but I hated reading. My mom would beg me when I was younger to read. It wasn't until after I got out of high school I really started getting into it. But you just don't know where, like, your path and where you're going. And it's so amazing to me because, I had a lot of people say how they love my book, how they enjoyed it and everything. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm just so humbled by it,
Yeah. My first books were children's books, 5 children's books from the 7 to 11 age group. But and children are so enthusiastic. So to be told by a child that they love these characters and they believe in the characters, to them they're real. And it's funny, in book 3 of the children's series, the lead character finds a dead body in a freezer. Well, it's not horrible. It's not horrible. The old lady had put her husband in there when he died to keep him close. So it wasn't a murder or anything. But these kids just loved that there was a dead body in the freezer. And you wouldn't. I mean, I had to. It was really funny, the things that stick in children's minds.
That is so true. Oh my goodness, that is so true. That's hilarious. You gotta love children.
Yeah, exactly. Or the innocence of them.
Yeah.
You know, and they believe these characters, and they'll tell you where they were. Because my leading lady, her name was Starr, and she's 11, and she's an actor, but she tends to be a bit of a detective. And so each book happened in a different country, on a different film set. And so the kids would tell you where they wanted her to go next, or what they wanted to happen. When they fall in love with the character, they fall deep, children.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so that's fun.
So do you have any last minute advice to share with our listeners out there?
I think whatever it is, don't just talk about it, do it. It's just simple. Don't talk. So go for it. What can go wrong? You can only but learn, but you could be really, really successful. So just go for it.
Just go for it and do it. I love it. So where can everyone find you?
So the easiest thing is to go to jackyrom.com. So that's JACKYROM. Really simple. So jackyrom.com, and you'll find all the links. Can I just say what I'm doing next week?
Yes, go ahead.
You need to check the times, but if you go onto facebook.com/JackieRom, I'm doing live readings. You know, we're all stuck at home, especially those with children. So twice a day, I'm doing readings. I'm doing a live reading of my children's book and live reading of the first book in the Sandra Bernstein Chronicles, called Make Up to Murder, and I'm doing a chapter a day. So people are kind of putting in their diary a time to sit around the computer and listen to the storytelling and listening to me do live readings. So the first one is for children, and then the second reading is the adults book. But if you go on my Facebook page or onto the website, you can see all the timings.
Awesome. We'll definitely put that in the show notes for that, so that everybody can know where to go to look for that and put that on their calendar. That sounds awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I thank you so much, Jackie, for being on the show today. And I hope everything goes well for you. I cannot wait. I think I'm going to jump onto Amazon Prime and look at your documentaries. Now, as you said, I was like, brilliant. Oh my goodness.
So just a reminder, that's called Method of Murder.
Method of Murder. Sounds good.
We hope you enjoyed the show today. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episodes and more. Head over to hellocsdorsey.com to subscribe. And remember, nothing is impossible. So make the impossible possible and take action today. We'll see you next time.